I started photography probably about when I was 14, that'd be about 1969. My dad was getting back into photography again. He built a darkroom in the back room, and once I started getting into the darkroom, and seeing actual prints being developed, I had that spark. This is what I want to do. I used to go out, just taking pictures of people, taking pictures of buildings. I went down one day, I'm going to get a picture of the front of the cathedral. There was one single house still in front, this one house standing in front of the cathedral with the smoke coming out of the chimney. But it wasn't like until years later I started looking through my archives how important that shot was. 1974, it's when Liverpool beat Newcastle. I think the score was 3-0. And obviously whenever that happened, there was a big homecoming, and thousands of people would line the streets. So I went down on this day, I think it was May 74, and the police sort of let me get under the barrier and I was right on the front. So I was able to take these shots of the footballers and Bill Shankly. What I did then, I turned the camera back round towards the crowds, and what I noticed was the line of police, and they'd all interlinked arms, and they all looked like they're having a good time as well, because the atmosphere that day was fantastic. And I took these pictures, and again, it wasn't until sort of years later that I looked at the negatives that I've taken. They just have this timeless look about them, and the expressions on their faces. When I was at Elson Mann & Cooper, I was a black and white printer. I was practicing being a photographer by going out and just taking pictures. So I would go down to the pier head, go on the ferries, and just point the camera and see what I got. And I mean, there's some particular ones. There's a lady who always used to feed the pigeons down at the pier head, and I got a shot of her, and the pigeon just happened to raise into the air, and I got the back of her actually looking back onto the river. And again, it was just that one moment in time when you capture. I'd been walking through town. I think I had about 2 or 3 frames left in the camera, and there was a number of children. They were playing around by this big puddle of water, and all of a sudden this lad just ran at this puddle and just leaped up, and I think I just lifted the camera and snapped it. There's a famous shot I did on the ferry. I'd taken my sister for her first ferry ride, and we were sitting there, and there was some children running around the boat, and I saw them running towards me, and again just lifted the camera and snapped it. It's laid in the archives all these years, and now I look at it, and in my view, it's sort of it's iconic of the ferries, ferry across the Mersey. The Albert Dock in those days was, it was out of bounds, but there were holes in the fences, and you could get in. And I've been able to sort of replicate now. I walk around the dock and I see the pictures I did then and the pictures I do now, to see the comparison and the way it's been sort of brought back to life, really.